Hello everyone, this is my first YouTube video in quite a while. It's been a couple months, but I finally got done with my busiest school term, and so I'll have a couple more videos coming out this summer. So if that's something that you'd be into, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. But this video is going to be about my current thoughts and feelings about college and how they've sort of changed a little bit as I've grown and sort of experienced college. I will say just like a little bit of history about my thoughts is when I was, coming out of high school, I was a little bit skeptical about going to college or needing to go to college. Part of that has to do with the major I was going into, which sort of brings me into the first part, which is there's sort of like a scammy nature to college. I'm not really sure how to describe it other than that. You may have heard this sort of idea before, maybe from friends around the internet. Some of my friends joke about it all the time, that college is a scam. But I also think this has to do with which major you decide to go for. What I mean by that is if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, I think college is a great choice, and although it is a high cost, it will lead you into a very lucrative high income career. And so when you weigh the costs and benefits, the benefits outweigh the costs, and therefore it's a pretty good life decision. But if you're like me and you go into a music career or a music major, or even if you're an undecided major or an art major, things like these, I think whether that decision is good or bad kind of becomes a little bit more confusing, or the line starts to blur a little bit. And also, when I was that age going into college, I was starting to learn about finances and money and how to be smart about it, especially when I am going into a music performance major. When you think about it, the costs seem to start to outweigh the benefits, because my dream, hopefully one day still, is to be in a symphony orchestra, and that's what I would love to be my career. But those spots are, one, very, very competitive, and as you may have known throughout the pandemic, a lot of those people lost their careers, at least for the time being, until things get back to normal. And so it's not like a stable position. But yeah, so I was young and I was thinking, this might not be a great financial decision. I'm possibly going into a lot of debt, and I'd also started learning about investing and compound interest, and I knew that the earlier you invest, the better, and those early years of investing are so important to get the benefits of compound interest. And so I'd really started to doubt whether or not college was a good decision for me. But there was a moment that happened. I sort of like to think about it as this idea that struggle is what comes before growth. And the moment that I remember is seeing my first college bill on my screen and knowing that I had not nearly enough money to pay, and I only had like a fraction of that money from the money that I got from my summer job saving up. And so I was terrified, frightened, confused, and I cried. And I'm not really an emotional person, but I did cry. And what I ended up doing was I asked for my mom for some help, and she loaned me money, which I have since paid back, thankfully. But more importantly, in that moment, I didn't like being in that situation. And I think I decided that I didn't ever want to need help like that in that way. And that moment, that sort of lower point, is when I decided that I wanted to be able to support myself. I didn't want to need anyone, and that forced me to grow, forced me to get a job, and forced me to learn how to support myself on my own. And so I'm still that thing about independence, learning how to support myself. I'm still very thankful and grateful for that moment, because I think that is what allowed me to grow. And there's also another benefit I have experienced through my college career so far, which is my improvement of verbal skill. Just a little bit about me personally is that throughout high school, I wasn't really good at writing, reading, or like English classes, that sort of thing. Maybe it's just my temperament, but I always did really well in math and science because, you know, when we would get the story problem or whatever, we would just use the concepts or formulas that we used throughout the term, plug in the numbers, and use a couple different problem-solving techniques that were also taught to us. And if we didn't really make any technical errors, we would always get the correct answer. And I was really happy about those classes, but writing in English is really not that straightforward. I remember thinking a thought that was something like, I don't know what the teacher wants, or I'm trying to figure out what the teacher wants. And that's sort of how I wrote too. I would write essays and stuff in a way that was what I thought the teacher wanted to see, or what he wanted to hear, or what she wanted to hear, or whatever. But what I've learned recently over this past couple terms of college is that you shouldn't be writing what someone else wants to hear. You should be writing what you believe in, or what you believe to be true, or what you believe to be the least refutable idea or concept or answer, or, you know, something like that. So this improvement of writing, I think also at its core was an improvement of my own thinking. I just feel like I've gotten more organized in thinking. I feel like I can think a little bit more clearly. Maybe it is just a part of brain development, you know, women and men's brains haven't fully developed, and so maybe that's part of just my brain continuing to develop. But I do really attribute this improvement of thinking and writing to the environment of college, because I did have a few classes that required me to write essays throughout a term. And you know, in high school, when you have to write an essay, it's like a huge, big deal assignment. And in college, it's not like it's a small assignment, but it's just that you have to write so many essays that you just sort of get in the rhythm of doing it. And maybe that was also a thing that helped me just getting into that practice of repeating that process over and over, writing essay after essay, that eventually I started, you know, picking up my own tricks and improving here and there. College, despite its scammy nature, has really, I think, made me a more independent person and has made me a better thinker and writer, which is really invaluable and can be used in any industry. These are just my current thoughts and feelings about college. They could definitely change in the future. A lot of thoughts and feelings I've noticed have changed over time. I'd love to hear what you guys think about college, depending on where you are in your journey. Maybe you're in high school, maybe you've graduated college. I'd love to hear what you guys think about, is college worth it, or those sorts of ideas. Let me know in the comments below. Again, I haven't posted in a while, and this is my first video in a couple months or so, but I will have some more videos coming out this summer. And so if you want to stay for that, or if you liked this video, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, sticking along for the ride. But otherwise, I will see you guys all in the next video.